that guy who has spent most of the season on Twitter. Well, that guy reportedly will work out with the Saints this week, along with receivers Brandon Marshall and Kamar Aiken. All right, Cece, why would the Saints want to bring in a guy like Dez into what appears to be a well-functioning and successful locker room for New Orleans at this point?
Because outside of Michael Thomas, just as far as wide receivers, they're not as deep as they have been. And Teddy Ginn placed on the injured reserve. They're definitely going to miss him because he had a niche in that offense. Now, the guys that they're looking at, they wouldn't be able to replace the speed. But Sean Payton is a creative coach. If he gets talented wide receivers, they will be productive. And it's hard to match the productivity that Sean Payton gets out of guys. So he's looking for veteran guys who would understand and be able to do a certain role. And man, you got Drew Brees almost completing 80% of the passes. Man, send me a workout invitation. Goodness. I mean, all you got to do is just get how open this much. Because Drew Brees, man, is playing at an all-time high. So I like the fact that Sean Payton's going to bring him in and work him out. Also, Sean Payton can handle the personality. Drew Brees is such a great leader in that locker room. It would be a great fit. I love to see Dez Bryant be able to finish especially with a competitor. With the contender.
Because Drew Brees is so accurate, and because if you don't have to get a ton of separation, the name I'd be interested they're bringing into workouts, Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall played this year. Brandon Marshall, I think, had 11 catches in his very brief time with Seattle this year. Brandon Marshall, we know, is in football shape. And Brandon Marshall, we also know in this new Brandon Marshall 2.0 we've seen over the last 5 years after he got his mental health stuff squared away, is a really good locker room guy. I think things are going too well in New Orleans to add this X factor, to add the idea that you're going to bring in this, what's the word?
So it'll be a distraction.
Yeah, I don't know if it might be a distraction, but it certainly adds something to the recipe that we could throw the whole thing off, right?
Last week, they traded Mickey Loomis and...
They traded for Eli Apple?
Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton have had a history of dealing with players and everything, so I don't see the same thing as you. I wouldn't be worried. Eli Apple, supposedly, him and Collins, they had a falling out in the locker room. They said he was a bad locker room guy. So when you have a strong personality as a coach who trusts his ability, I believe in Sean Payton. Also, Dez Bryant is not the same Dez Bryant who was on the Cowboys last year. After an offseason of humility, after having a couple small contract offers, I'm sure Dez Bryant is in a different place mentally than he's been at since he's been in pro football.
Okay, so that would have been my concern. My other concern would be Dez Bryant has no experience in the NFL, not as the number one guy. And he obviously...
Everywhere he went, no one was looking for him to be the number one guy. Baltimore was not him being the number one guy. Cleveland, he wasn't going to be the number one guy.
And he didn't sign any of those places. The places that I thought kind of made sense for him was a place like San Francisco that you had mentioned where he would have been the number one guy. Maybe the Jets where he potentially could have been the number one guy.
Okay, well, let's look at it from a different perspective then. Where would you want him to work out? If he can't work out in New Orleans, where can he work out? Where can he play?
No, see, from Dez's perspective, I think it'd be great. I'm talking about if I'm the Saints. If I'm the Saints...
The Saints just brought in Eli Apple. They don't have enough talented wide receivers to make it through a playoff run. They got 7 wins in a row. But Sean Payton is from the Bill Parcells tree. Man, he can handle dudes, man. You see Michael Thomas come up and apologize after the cell phone? Yeah, Sean Payton is not that kind of guy, man. I believe in Sean Payton. Sean Payton can handle wide receivers.
Dez Bryant is different than Eli Apple. People aren't walking up and down. Reporters aren't going to walk up and down that locker room asking everyone, what's it going to be like to bring Eli Apple in here? How much is this going to take away with Dez here? Are you worried about what Dez is going to do? And when you break it down for a team that's playing so well with so few problems or distractions, even something small as tilting the axis a little with where reporters are going to be, that doesn't alarm you at all?
Sean Payton is trying to win a Super Bowl. And I got confidence in Sean Payton's ability. I wouldn't be as concerned about it. I wouldn't be as concerned, all right? They're on a roll. They got great leadership there. Mickey Loomis and how they pick players there, they do it for a certain reason. If you're trying to pick up, New England picked up Josh Gordon. Ain't nobody had no problem with that. Ain't nobody said nothing about that. What about not being able to depend on your teammates? So these guys, when they go in certain situations, all right, they are trying to fit in. Let's not think that Dez Bryant wouldn't fit in New Orleans for some type of reason that we don't know.
Okay, what about the reasons we do know quickly? Football-wise, would he be a good addition to this team?
They don't have enough depth at wide receiver.
Right now, that Traquan Smith, the young guy who's played relatively well, but I think has 12 catches on the year. He's a big play guy.
You cannot depend on him coming down the stretch. He has gotten better. They do believe he has big-time talent. But Dez Bryant as your third or fourth receiver, absolutely. Let's not get crazy.
Right now, Right now,
Jesus.
Michael Thomas, we know, has 70 catches. Second most catches, Alvin Kamara. He's a running back. Third most catches is Benjamin Watson, who is best I checked your age. And so, hey,
that was insulting. I'm going to cut you off and break right now. 34-year-old wide receivers are not bad. Coming up,
he's 37.
Has Jerry Jones finally had enough with Jason Garrett? That's next on First Things First. Just stop talking. Gosh.